I declare bankruptcy!
It's a simple spell, but quite unbreakable.
At the start of a game of Stellaris Overlord, you are in not a very great financial position. Your economy is weak, your population small, and you really don't have the resources to do anything major. But what if I told you there was a way of getting a small loan of $1 million? Yes, that's right, in this video we're going to learn to work smarter and not harder, because that is the way to getting a kickstart that we so desperately want in some of our games, but usually would be unable to do without a little bit of cheating. And as you might have guessed from the intro, this may have something to do with the new bankruptcy mechanics. So let's dive in and find out what's going on. You might already know that in Stellaris Overlord, the bankruptcy and deficit mechanics have entirely changed. Now if you go into debt and you have no resources, a situation will start. To get the ball rolling there, let's see what happens if we run out of consumer goods. I've unemployed both of my artisans, so they are now no longer working, and I've sold all of my consumer goods right at the start of the game. This has caused a situation to start. This situation seems pretty bad. We're getting -5% happiness, we're losing unity, our researchers are producing less, and everyone's a bit upset with us. Now, we can do some things to try to change that around. We could also get more people working and find ways of producing more consumer goods, possibly by buying some from the market. But if we do simply nothing, in 400 days our empire will default, we will go bankrupt, and we're going to get to then see what the new mechanics are. And there we have it, we've reached bankruptcy. Now when we do that, we're going to get this Empire Defaulted modifier you've seen before. All of our upgraded buildings will be instantly downgraded, our offensive armies will be disbanded, and half of our military ships will go the way of the dodo. We'll also though get a nice juicy 500 consumer goods. That 500 consumer goods, basically the reason we're going to get it is so that we don't end up in some sort of death spiral where we don't have any resources and we're losing them and we end up getting bankrupt again and again and again. We should now be able to use these resources and possibly some others if we were going bankrupt in, say, minerals, to build more buildings, get out of this financial deficit that we are in. And you might be thinking 500 doesn't seem like a lot, and it's not. If you were watching any of the live streams by the developers, you'll have noticed that they got some crazy numbers when they were going bankrupt, something in the region of 15,000 resources. And that got me thinking, is there any way to exploit this bankruptcy system so as to gain more resources than we rightly should? And if you're enjoying this video, please bankrupt that like button. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to the Bank of Space America. Now, the Bank of Space America are very noble, generous citizens. Now, they don't believe in handouts unless the handout is coming directly from their government to solve some sort of financial crisis. What are we doing here? Well, we've got some traits, they're irrelevant. We've got an origin, completely irrelevant. We have some ethics, this is relevant. Now, I think there are going to be some different ways you can do this. Don't take my word here as gospel, but fundamentally, I believe egalitarian is going to be very crucial, along with warrior culture. Those two in combination should be very, very helpful. Now, what we're basically going to be doing here is we're going to be going bankrupt in as many ways as possible. To that end, I'm going to start off by selling all of my food, selling all of my alloys, and all of my consumer goods. I'm not going to sell the minerals just yet because I will need them to build a few buildings so we can really pull a fast one on the government and tell them we are in deep financial straits and we really do require a bailout if they want the world economy to continue. My economic policy is also going to switch over to militarized economy. That's going to mean my consumer goods workers will be producing less on my say-so. And then of course, every employee of the Space Bank of America does deserve not just decent conditions, but utopian abundance. Every single want and need of our Space Bank of America employees must be met immediately. And then we need to do a little bit of creative accounting and some downsizing. Farmers, they need to go away. Miners, naughty naughty. We can't be having you ruining any of the fun. And of course, I probably also need to get rid of some artificers as well. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, they will not be unemployed. They will be feverishly and busily thinking of new corporate strategies to get us going. And now that we've got all this energy, I can now buy a lot of minerals and use them to build another industrial district. That will be crucial to the brilliant play we're going to pull off very, very soon. And unfortunately, we are currently now in a deficit of both food and consumer goods. And there go the minerals. There's only one resource left, ladies and gentlemen, that we're not in a deficit of, and that is alloys. So we should probably do something about that and start selling as many alloys as we can. We are converting all of this into energy credits, the greatest form of currency the world has ever known. And then after our industrial district is complete, I'm going to buy 400 alloys and build one of these lovely holo theaters. I am making sure to stay in my deficit, in my bankrupt state, as much as possible. Now, if we look over at these deficits, they are racking up very, very quickly. We want to make sure, though, that at no point does any deficit other than our food deficit take precedence, because we want that to be the primary resource we declare bankruptcy on. Yes, our people are starving at the Bank of Space America, and we will need some great and generous, beneficent government to step in to bail us out. Now, some people in our treasury are saying, well, this is not very good. We are having acute food shortages. It's very problematic, but not to worry, ladies and gentlemen. Everything is going according to plan. Our consumer goods shortage is about to overtake our food shortage in terms of precedence. For that reason, I'm now just going to buy a few consumer goods. I'm also going to buy 400 minerals while the game is paused and use that to start building another holo theater. You see, ladies and gentlemen, once we buy some of these resources, so we are still in a deficit, but we are no longer at zero, so we can afford to lose some of them. The situation does not go away. That's part of the new mechanic. Instead, we lose a bit of progress, -1 per month. This means we can tightly control which deficit is the most pressing and most urgent to the population of our empire. Now that we've got our holo theaters up and running, you'll see why it was very important we went for warrior culture. You see, our duelists, they actually use alloys as upkeep, and that means we will be able to go into an alloy deficit on top of our consumer goods and mineral shortages. But even though we have none of our miners employed, we're now currently producing a small surplus of minerals, and that would mean our mineral shortage is about to end. Luckily, in his executive wisdom, the chief executive officer has issued a decree that all mining stations in the home system should be dismantled. Once we knock both of those mining stations offline, the minerals, thankfully, are still in the negative. We can also set up a quick little monthly trade just to get rid of the last few of our alloys, and there you have it. We have alloy shortages, mineral shortages, consumer goods shortages, and food shortages. And then, unfortunately, dramatically, terrifyingly, in the year of our Lord 2205, the Bank of Space America had to declare an absolute bankruptcy. We have defaulted. Now, we are going to get 1,000 food for this default. We're also going to get the nasty Empire defaulted modifier, and we're going to downgrade all of our buildings. Our offensive armies are disbanded, and 50% of our military ships will go away. The key line that we are also going to take advantage of is that all other deficit situations are ended as a part of our empire's restructuring. So surely you would assume we would get 1,000 minerals, 1,000 consumer goods, and 1,000 alloys. But oh my goodness me, that's not quite the case. Instead, we've gained 10,000 minerals, 7,500 consumer goods, and 7,500 alloys. Yes, it's 2205, and we are sitting on a nice, pretty stockpile of many resources. And those issues we were having with deficits, well, we could restore the jobs, make sure people start working in the farming fields again, make sure they go back to their mines. And suddenly, we are now sitting on a very healthy, very balanced economy. Thank you very much to the good people in the government that have decided to bail us out. Of course, when we now come to build buildings, where everything is going to be 25% more expensive. But we have an extra 10,000 minerals to build them. So we can now queue up as many research labs as we could possibly get our dirty little fingers on. And then I'm going to commission a nice resplendent navy of 57 ships. Yes, that's right, I can now build 57 corvettes only 5 years into the game. This is woefully overpowered and, dare I say, a little bit broken. In essence, when you have one shortage, the game is quite easily able to work out it should give you the right amount of resources. But when you have shortages in every single resource other than our energy credits, I think the game must think that we're so absolutely terrible, we've cried wolf so effectively, that it gives us basically anything we could want. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you should work smarter and not harder. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to know more about how to subsidize your empire, possibly steal another empire, what you need is a proper vassal contract. If you'd like to know more about vassal contracts, click the video on screen now.